This is Taiwan Talk.
This is Taiwan Talk on ICRT.
I'm Eric Smith, and welcome to Taiwan Talk. Whether we like it or not, each and every day we are all getting older. But with Taiwan's ultra-low birth rate, the fact that we are all aging has significant consequences. I recently sat down with Tsai Xingling, the International Affairs Officer for the Hondao Senior Citizens Welfare Foundation, a group that seeks to change attitudes and laws related to the elderly. Ms. Tsai told me that in just a few short years, Taiwan is slated to become what's termed an aged society.
When the society has a population age 65 over is bigger than 40%, it means that we are considered as an aged society.
Okay, and where are we right now in the year 2012?
So now we have around like a 10, close to 11% of a population whose age is over 65.
And when do we expect to reach that 40% mark?
40% is actually 2 or 3 years from now.
Really, that fast?
Yes.
Just 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to hit the 40% mark?
Yes.
Wow.
Because with a low birth rate, that we are considered to running into the aged society pretty soon.
But this is a global trend, right? I mean, this is going to happen pretty much everywhere except for a few places with lots of births, like, say, the Philippines or some nations in Africa, right?
Correct.
So the Western world and much of the Far East, and we're all heading in this direction.
Correct.
Well, how will Taiwanese society change as we develop these new demographics? What are some of the challenges that we're going to run into?
Well, as we will have a large share of elderly people, you can perceive the size of a working age people is going to be shrinking, and so that you can see that the work structure has to be changed to adapt. Otherwise, that we cannot maintain the society as the way we do now. Also, because elderly people are the heavy user of healthcare, so you can perceive that healthcare expense is going to running pretty high in the coming years. But so far in Taiwan, that people are talking already, like our insurance, the infrastructure we have now cannot really afford the way we spend now. But if we are going to have a higher demand in a few years, you can see that the financing system is going to be in a huge trouble.
So do we need to let people aged 65 and above stay in the workplace longer? Is that one of the solutions?
Well, that's one of the solutions people are talking about. But in order to achieve that, and actually people have to change their perception of aging.
Interesting.
Because in most cases, and people feel like, you should retire when you reach a certain mark, and that people feel like you may function slowly and not as smart as you used to be.
So there's negative stereotypes associated with people who are 65 and over.
Correct. And the worst thing is that people will not really say it in front of you, but I think their behavior will show. So even when people who are over 65 and they still want to work and to make contribution to the society, he or she cannot get a job anywhere because the company, they don't feel like it will be a good investment for their own sake. So although people know one of the solutions is really trying to get all those people re-engage in the society to make a contribution, but in the reality it's still very hard to achieve that.
And it might be that these companies have a bit of a wrong understanding because, okay, let's say somebody who's 65 or 70 or even 75, maybe they do move slightly slower than a 30-year-old, but they have a wealth of information and experience that a 30-year-old doesn't have. Mm-hmm. So actually, aren't they a bigger asset to the company in many ways than a younger person?
Yeah, if you think that way, it all makes sense. But I think the fundamental thing is that we have to change our perception and recognize that, of course, in some aspect, all those people probably cannot run faster than they were 10 years ago.
Sure.
But in other aspects, they probably have much more experience, and they will bring other assets to the company. But this kind of thing that really need to be required to cultivate, and the company has to really try to rediscover all these assets that those elderly people can bring to the group.
I'm Eric Smith, and thanks for tuning into Taiwan Talk. Do stop by tomorrow for more on this fascinating subject.
This is Taiwan Talk.
This is Taiwan Talk on ICRT.
Welcome to Taiwan Talk. I'm Eric Smith, and today we're continuing our chat with Ms. Tsai Xingling, the International Affairs Officer for the Hondao Senior Citizens Welfare Foundation.
So how does the Hondao Foundation try to change attitudes? What are your strategies for achieving this goal?
We actually released a movie called Go Green Riders.
The motorcycle grandpa movie.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Well, and we are very grateful because the movie seems to be a big hit. And then we actually generate like close to 30 million Taiwanese dollars.
Wow.
The story of this film is very touching. And actually, if you have the chance to watch the movie, you can see that it actually portrays like a different view of those elderly people. And in the movie, it's actually a group of 17 senior citizen whose average age is 81 years old.
Average age is 81.
Yes.
Okay.
81 years old.
And they take a motorcycle ride around Taiwan.
Yes, for 13 days.
And that movie is called Go Grand Riders in English. Is that right?
Correct. Go
Okay.
Grand Riders.
All right. So we're all getting older. We're all living longer. Life expectancy has increased dramatically over the past, half century or so. What does Taiwan need to do right now to get ready for the inevitable future?
Well, one thing I think, as you mentioned earlier, that everyone should recognize is a global trend and it's coming, and nobody can avoid that trend. So one thing we have to recognize that global aging is coming, and the growing old is really part of the natural course of life. We all will reach that stage one way or the other. So we have to change the perception of aging. And actually the studies show that if elder people who has a positive perception of aging, they will actually be more engaged and will take a more active role in the society. And that will actually bring more contribution to the society, so that we won't have faced that much challenge when we have a shrinking number of working age people. If older people can make more contribution to the society, that will not become the issue. But we have to help people who have more positive image of elderly in order to achieve.
Recognize the usefulness of
Yes.
these people.
The other thing that is that we have to be more aware of the concept of active aging. It's one thing to live longer, but it's another to live longer and live in a healthy way. So we really try to promote, to engage people to do the health promotion activity. So, and really try to, when we work in the community, we actually will organize a number of exercise class, or even like a singing class, to make sure they enjoy their life and in a different aspect, the physical aspect, the mental aspect, so they will feel like their life is very enriched.
Quality of life. So we really want to get people think of the issue of getting old and trying to get yourself ready and just trying to get more engaged in the society. So that's another thing that we can do. Is the Hondao Foundation pushing the government to enact any specific policies related to Taiwan becoming an aging society?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, actually, Taiwan government has a committee to discuss and to develop long-term care insurance. So actually, Hondao Hondao Foundation, our executive director, she is also a member of that committee and trying to inform the government what should include when they launch this insurance out. One thing that our foundation try to advocate is really try to add all those preventive or health promotion element into the insurance scheming.
So you want the government to pay for programs that promote exercise and healthy living for older people.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Try to promote healthy bodies, healthy minds, and also change attitudes of the younger generation, the way that they view the elderly. That's the core of your mission.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Xingming.
Oh, you're welcome.
谢谢.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Eric Smith, and please note that all Taiwan Talk episodes are available as podcasts on www.icrt.com.tw.